Yes, forget the 60 days of rain and the party political broadcast. Just in the nick of time, the Force is with us. Tonight, as well as saving the known universe, we chart the path of love, which runs anything but true from the trials of peasants in 16th century Padua to the battles of Beatrix and Benedict in the opera by Berlioz. And things aren't much better in New York, according to a new novel by Dennis Holthouse. But out there, in space, things are different. And for the third part of the Star Wars trilogy, The Return of the Jedi, the heroes are reunited.
Right. Together again, huh? How we doing? As always, you bet that, huh? Where's Leia?
I'm here.
His Friday Council within Jabba the Hutt has decreed that you are to be terminated immediately.
You have a long way.
Those who saw The Empire Strikes Back will remember that that ended with Han Solo frozen in carbonite by the evil Jabba the Hutt, who we now discover is a kind of cross between a giant frog, a caterpillar, and a halibut. To the rescue come Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, who create general carnage, in the name of absolute good, of course. There are a host of new characters with names which seem to be made up of bits of leftover Scrabble. So along with Jabba the Hutt, we have Sly Snookle, Bib Fortuna, and Admiral Akbar, as well as old favourites like Lando Calrissian, and of course R2-D2 and C-3PO. The film is full of high-speed chases on every imaginable form of transportation, and the special effects are better than ever. But for the British director of Return of the Jedi, Richard Markland, there's far more to the film than that.
A lot of filmmakers have tried to copy the success of Star Wars, and most of them have missed the point, and they think that Star Wars is about sets, about rockets, about space travel, about special effects, about battles. And they know it isn't actually about that at all. You've got to get that all absolutely right. So once it's right, essentially you've got to forget it. And you've got to actually say, this film is about relationships. It's actually about love and hate and loyalty and fear and aggression, desire and loathing, and that's what it's about. Otherwise, you could say Hamlet's about people stalking around in black tights and having sword fights now and again, and of course it's not at all. Hamlet is actually about a kid who doesn't quite know what happened in his recent past and needs to find out. And once he's found out, wants to do something about it and can't bring himself to do something about it, which is a very taut, tense play. And similarly, our movie is actually about a kid who's not quite sure who his father is, and once he finds out is determined to do something about it. And that's why, in fact, people go back and back and back to it.
I wonder whether Peter Nichols, editor of the Science Fiction Encyclopedia, thought Markham was right in seeing it primarily as a myth.
That's first called fairy tale because it's myth for kiddies, isn't it? And it doesn't have quite the dark resonance of some of the adult myths. Forces of evil are very much there, as they've been very much there in the two preceding movies, but one knows that good sooner or later is somehow going to triumph.
On the other hand, Freud begins to shoulder his way into this film, doesn't he?
Yes, one of the things that fascinates me about the whole series, it began in the second film, The Empire Strikes Back, and it's very much carried on here, is that though they're so obviously designed for kids, there's some rather knowing winks to the adults too, and the Freudian theme is strongest, of course, in the question that everybody is asking, is Darth Vader really Luke Skywalker's father? And if so, how come Darth Vader is so bad when Luke Skywalker is so good? And I have to say that answer is given quite happily.
When I first knew you, your father was already a great man, but I was amazed how strongly the Force was with him. I took it upon myself to train him as a Jedi. I thought that I could instruct him just as well as yours. I was wrong. There is conclusion. He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
I can't do it.
You
cannot escape your destiny. You must face Darth Vader again.
I can't kill my own father.
Then the Emperor has already won.
Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. The special effects for the film, as I understand it, took over a year to produce. And they are pretty impressive, aren't they?
The special effects here belong to two groups. First of all, there's the aliens, the monstrous and lovable creatures that aren't human. They're splendidly done in a way, but I did feel that the nasty creatures towards the beginning of the film in Jabba the Hutt's fortress on Tatooine are a bit too obviously made of latex and rubber, but they're so wonderfully animated and so amusing that I readily forgave it that. And of course, we've got an entirely new alien race, the Ewoks. Now, the Ewoks seem to me to be a little bit too calculatingly intended to appeal to the kiddie audience, the quite young kiddie audience. George Lucas must have asked, how do we make aliens appealing for quite young kids? I know, we'll make them look like teddy bears, and that's exactly what they look like. Or to be more accurate, they look like very small men and women, possibly dwarfs, inside teddy bear suits, with just a dash of the King Charles Spaniel there too.
And there are some brilliant chases. There was one amazing one through forest.
That's right. If the alien special effects are open to some comment, I think the technical special effects, by which I mean combining miniatures with live action absolutely seamlessly, so you can't tell what's, so to speak, technologically done and what's really acted, is superb. And best of all, is a wonderful chase through the forest. It's hard to know how to describe them. They're something like airborne Harley Davidsons, in fact. And these flying motorbikes are absolutely fantastic. The amazing speed with which they run through the trees, with the camera, so to speak, sitting exactly on the saddle, the speed with which they maneuver, the way they can sort of loop and roll, is beautifully and splendidly done. The only less than convincing thing is that Princess Leia keeps falling off them at 200 miles an hour and emerges absolutely unhurt.
But there is a lot that's very familiar about the film, and the characters are familiar, some aspects of the plot are very familiar. What is it that's startlingly new?
Well, there's one major new character, which the series definitely needed, the Emperor. We've had an Empire before, now at last we have the Emperor, and I must say he's really quite a sinister performance, with a rather green face from the actor Ian McDermott. I enjoyed him very much, and he plays an absolutely key role.
The Death Star will be completed on schedule.
You've done well, Lieutenant. And now I wish to continue your search for young Skywalker.
Yes.
Patience, my friend. In time, he will see you us, and when he does, you must bring him to the fall. He will grow strong, so you never can return him to the dark side of the force.
And
everything is good in life and good.
I must admit, to me this is the best of the three films so far. How do you feel about it?
To me, the best of the three films is Still Empire Strikes Back. It's a close thing. I mean, I would be torn limb from limb by the 10-year-old population of this country if I sort of stood up and said in front of you all that this film is no good. It is, in fact, absolutely splendid on one level, and the level is that of the circus. There are terrific performances, the trapeze acts like nothing you've ever seen before, the clowns make you laugh, 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 the lions and tigers suitably go through their paces, but a bit like a circus, for me there was nothing quite to connect up the individual performances. It's a bit of a series of set pieces. So it's not a 5-star movie for me, but it's the most fun 4-star movie I've seen in a long, long time.
The Return of the Jedi, which Peter Nichols was reviewing, opens in the West End and in major cities on Thursday. The Return of the Jedi ends with a dance of celebration. A dance of a rather different kind is at the heart of a new novel called Dancing in the Dark by the American writer Janet Hobhouse. May the Force be with you. Tonight's edition of Kaleidoscope was presented by Chris Bigsby and produced by Richard Dunn.
And the Return of the Jedi mounted it not to hide a famous star from the fans, but to protect the film itself. The plan is to stop the video pirates, the people who copy the film against the law so it can be sold on video cassettes. Paul now reports.
The posters are up in the centre of London heralding the arrival of the latest space adventure film. It comes here after great success in America. In cities across the state, people often camped out for days just to secure a place in the queue.
But any internationally successful movie runs the risk of being copied onto videocassette, which is illegal. Of course, it's much easier to watch a film in the comfort of your own home on your television screen. But the movie makers reckon that the video pirates, as they're known, is costing their business something like £300 million a year.
The company putting out the film are taking strong measures to make sure only paying customers see it. They're hoping the video pirates won't be able to get near the film.
When the picture was ready to be shipped to England, we had a security lady escorted to the airport and put on the plane, first class. The seat next to her was occupied by the cans of film. And she sat there next to them for the whole flight. And when she arrived in England, she was met and driven to the laboratory, and the cans of film were immediately placed into a vault.
Every copy made of the film is specially catalogued, and where each one goes will only be known. The makers wouldn't confirm it, but it's believed the new process in making the print will stop it being copied. One thing is certain. The cost of the security operation is enormous. All to ensure that this film with its exciting scenes will only be viewed in cinemas.
There's the son-in-law.
Where are you? We need you in the bubble right away.
What did you do? Hey, wait out! Hey, wait! Stop! Stay back there, Larry!